Hello everybody, and welcome back to B-Movie Euphoria's Sequels from Hell. Today we have a very interesting movie. In fact, the star of the movie, Dennis Hopper, has said that this was the strangest movie that he's ever been in. Dennis Hopper, who was in Blue Velvet, who was in the Super Mario Brothers movie, Witch Hunt, from 1994, is the weirdest movie that Dennis Hopper has ever been in.
Witch Hunt, starring Dennis Hopper of Speed and True Romance, Penelope Ann Miller of The Shadow and Carlito's Way, Eric Bogosian, and an array of devilishly dazzling special effects. Witch Hunt, only from HBO Home Video.
Technically a sequel to the 1991 HBO TV movie Cast a Deadly Spell. It stars Fred Ward as Harry Lovecraft, and it takes place in kind of an alternate 1940s where magic is kind of the norm, and a lot of people use magic for their own gains or for this and that, whatever they need to use magic for. And in this movie, Dennis Hopper kind of playing the same character, except in this movie, he is playing H. Philip Lovecraft.
I knew a private eye who hired a witch to put a tail on a guy, and the poor bastard had to have it surgically removed. Some things just aren't worth it.
Mr. Lovecraft?
Another difference is that this movie, Witch Hunt, takes place in the 1950s. So I guess that makes sense that Dennis Hopper definitely looks a little bit older than Fred Ward. This is an incredibly inventive, interesting, weird, sometimes boring movie directed by none other than Paul Schrader, who wrote Taxi Driver, wrote Raging Bull, is now directing movies. He just recently had that Depressed Guy trilogy of movies. But basically, Paul Schrader is still making movies. He's still making movies that people go and see. And back in 1994, he directed a sequel to a TV movie on HBO. There's just not a lot of humor in Paul Schrader's work, for the most part. I'm thinking specifically of the movie Affliction with Nick Nolte, and that movie is like stark and depressing. But in this movie, there's jokes.
Two cannibals are eating a clown. One says, does that taste funny to you?
People are quipping back and forth, and it's got like punch to it.
What's his story on Godley?
He's short. You have to be careful with short men. Their auras are compressed.
Dennis Hopper, like I said, plays H. Philip Lovecraft, H.P. Lovecraft. But he plays a detective in a world where magic is kind of the norm, except there's a senator, Larson Crockett, who believes, much like Joseph McCarthy did back in the 50s, that communism is scary. Ooh, it's gonna get ya. And in this movie, magic kind of takes the role of communism, and this Senator Larson Crockett is played by Eric Bogosian.
Magic. The word conjures images of sloth, degeneracy, and corruption.
He's been in a lot of stuff. He was the villain in Under Siege 2, Dark Territory. H. Philip Lovecraft does not use magic in this movie, even though he does have people help him who do use magic.
Want me to do that for you?
Do you mind?
We have Philip Lovecraft, detective, and he is working for Kim Hudson, played by Penelope Ann Miller, and she hires Philip to kind of follow her husband around because her husband is this big Hollywood producer and she's an actress, and this producer is Gottlieb, and he is kind of giving another actress all of Kim Hudson's parts, and she wants to know what's going on, but we all know what's going on. He's a Hollywood producer, so...
I'm sure whatever he's up to, it'll be cheap, tawdry, and decidedly third-rate.
Philip Lovecraft starts following this producer around and sees that he's doing some weird stuff with another great actor, Julian Sands.
Moses on a pony if it isn't Phil Lovecraft. Well, how's the world treating you, dickface?
In this movie, he plays Finn Maxa.
Finn Maxa.
He has one really creepy eye, and right off the bat, you know he's a villain. Julian Sands just plays a fantastic villain.
I like to take things apart, see how they work. Watches, phonographs, people. I like to see inside.
In movies, if you see a guy with a really creepy eye, and he's vaguely British, but in this movie, Julian Sands has one of the worst accents I have ever heard. It's supposed to be Irish, but it's like a mixture of Irish, German, British, and it keeps going in and out, but it never is not incredibly fun to listen to. Lovecraft follows Maxa around and is also following Gottlieb, the producer, around. Gottlieb, somebody does a little magic on him, and he shrinks down to a tiny little doll size. And then some dogs tear him apart. Just the thought of shrinking to the size of a little toy and then having giant dogs tear you apart, that is absolutely terrifying. In general, the special effects in this movie, they're kind of early CGI, and some of it is practical, but in general they're just really incredibly effective. A lot of the practical stuff, even some of the CGI, is okay, because early CGI was fun because you could laugh at it because they didn't really know what they were doing yet, and now I guess they do know, but that stuff just looks terrible. So the senator, Larson Crockett, he's on this campaign of getting magic out of Hollywood, getting magic out of the United States, because he's vying for a presidential seat, and he's just complete scumbag, constantly butting into this investigation of Gottlieb shrinking and saying, this is the work of magic, and this is exactly why I need to get magic out of this evil city, Hollywood.
This is just another example of how magic has shot its sinister tentacles into the motion picture industry. I give my personal pledge that soon a new day will dawn on a witch-free America.
But we also have Lovecraft's friend and witch and practitioner of magic, played by Cheryl Lee Ralph, who honestly is the star of this movie. Everyone's doing a really great job in this movie. Penelope Ann Miller as Kim Hudson, just doing a fantastic job as an actress that really wants to be something, but she's hiding secrets of her own. Julian Sands is doing a great job as creepy but kind of charming. But in particular, Cheryl Lee Ralph is so good as Hippolyta Kropotkin, who is a magic practitioner, helps out Lovecraft a lot.
Are you asking me for help?
Well, I'm asking you to watch my back for ravens.
Dennis Hopper, he's kind of more of a presence than the greatest actor in the world. Like, he's been really good and stuff, but sometimes in movies you can kind of just tell he's phoning it in.
Tell me something, honestly. Do I look like I have a dick on my face?
But throughout the movie, he is charming and he's funny, and it's just, he's not at the same level as everyone else. Also, Eric Bogosian, not really that great in this movie. Witch Hunt, as a sequel, I really, really enjoyed it. It's got fantastic special effects. It's got great acting from everybody. The sets are fantastic. It really felt like the 1950s. The humor is just very subtle in it, as far as like the producer Gottlieb, before he gets shrunk, he has Hippolyta do a conjuring spell and brings William Shakespeare into our time so he can write his next big hit movie.
What place is this?
It's a real pleasure, Bill. Welcome to Hollywood.
It all kind of culminates with Senator Crockett trying to get all the magic people out of Hollywood, and he ends up blaming Hippolyta for the death of Gottlieb and for bad things going on, and actually has a witch hunt for Hippolyta, blames her for everything, and then sets up a real witch burning, like live on TV in front of a huge crowd.
America is going to be all right.
That's when everything kind of comes together, and you find out what's really happening, what's really been going on the whole time, and it's kind of fantastic. Witch Hunt, from 1994, a TV movie sequel to the 1991 movie Cast a Deadly Spell. I'm going to give it a big recommendation because not only do I think it's fantastic, it has its not great points, but it's so underseen, and I don't even think a lot of people know about Cast a Deadly Spell. I still haven't seen it. It's great as its own movie. It has inventive stuff, great direction, great 1950s feeling, a scene in a drive-in movie where the movie really becomes 3D, and the person shooting in the movie starts shooting at Dennis Hopper and Penelope Ann Miller, and they're like dodging the bullets.
That's 6. He's out of bullets.
That was close.
If you want to check this movie out, Witch Hunt, it is now in full on YouTube, and it's actually pretty quality video. I don't think it's available anywhere else. I don't think it was ever, as far as I know, released on DVD or Blu-ray, but here's to hoping that one day it is. I'm Nick. Thank you for joining me for B-Movie Euphoria's Sequels from Hell.